Hello, this is Sister Gambino here with a new video. And in this video I'm going to be going over the event week for this week from May 12th to May 18th, 2022 for Grand Theft Auto Online. And starting off, the main menu this time around features the 4 times money RP on the free mode events and challenges. HSW test ride, HSW Hawkjaw drag. And then finally, the 2 times money in RP on Motor Wars. And yeah, HSW time trial this time around loops back to the very first time trial, East Vinewood. And yeah, it's just as simple as following the GPS route, nothing really worth showing us as for talking over the little bits here. On the house premium test ride this time around, it is the Shitzy Hawkjaw drag. In my opinion, it's definitely one of the best, if not the best HSW vehicle you could possibly get in the game. It's the one HSW motorcycle. And being a motorcycle, it's obviously not as spacious as an actual proper car. So therefore you technically get the most advantage, I would say, out of all the acceleration benefits for the HSW vehicles and all that. And it's also definitely one of the most profitable HSW vehicles because it's technically the best one, I would say, no doubt, for all the different time trials. In terms of money making, I feel the only other one I would compete would be the weaponized Ignis, to be completely honest. On to 4 times money in RP on Freemode Challenges and events. They are apparently at more frequency than normal, and if I recall from checking on Twitter, I believe there's a Tez2 person I follow, and they mentioned it was 9-minute frequency. But unfortunately, you do also gotta keep in mind that I believe that 9-minute frequency probably won't be happening for the most part, because typically right after you get a free mode event, you typically will have a business battle. And obviously that goes for challenge as well. You'll probably have a business battle right after as well. Because unfortunately the player requirement for business battles is actually less than free mode challenges and events. So honestly, I feel the increase in frequency is not really actually going to do much contrary to what it says on the description there for the section I'm on. But yeah, completing free mode challenges will get you $200,000. But yeah, the free mode challenges I did at least were the first 3 I felt were really worth doing for the challenges was. There was a jumping one where you had to do a jump with a land vehicle as far as possible. Very good vehicle for that is the regular oppressor. I don't really think there would be any other land vehicle that could beat the regular oppressor for that challenge. So that's a really good one if you got a regular oppressor. And yeah, another one that I ended up doing was driving with the most distance without crashing or something like that. Again, the Mark 1 oppressor, the regular oppressor, is pretty good for that as well. And then the other one I think I did for the Freemode Challenges was a low flying one. And that one I did the Annihilator Stealth, though the Akula, which is definitely a better stealth helicopter, would work for that as well. So that's a couple of my recommendations for the Freemode Challenges for getting the $200,000 within 72 hours, free real life days and all that. But yeah, Freemode events. The free I typically recommend for Freemode events would probably be criminal damage. Criminal damage across the board for this whole section Freemode Challenges and events. Criminal damage is definitely the best one, I would say, because I believe you get $35,000 normally, and on 4 times that should be $140,000, which is pretty insane if you win it. And there's a pretty easy strategy to winning it, especially if no one else is doing it. Go over to Fort Zancudo with a Hydra, Savage, Laser, any of the vehicles with the crazy explosive cannons, and just basically destroy everything that's in there essentially. And between those vehicles I mentioned, I'd prefer the Hydra for sure when it comes to criminal damage. And then another couple of the free mode events I prefer is definitely going to be the Hunt the Beast and then air checkpoints. Those are definitely a couple of the other ones I think are pretty good for the free mode events side of things. But unfortunately, I've been playing like the challenges and stuff like crazy, and I've only got like one, and it was like in the castle during like the whole entire event time so far. So it seems like the challenges I feel happen a lot more frequently currently, which I guess makes sense because yeah, there's a $200,000 thing and all that. But yeah, and then obviously side note at the like bottom, you gotta have at least 5 other players. You need at least a 6-player lobby to be able to get the Freemode Challenges and events to spawn, which is basically double the requirement again of like the business battles. And yeah, in my opinion, it's not really too much like bad free mode like events, but free mode challenges on the other hand, I feel there's definitely some pretty bad ones. Like there's ones where you have to do like a stoppie for like the longest time. There's also another one where I think you have to like fall without like dying for like as much height as like possible. Ones like that, I feel for the free mode challenges in particular, I definitely do not see being all that worth it. But yeah, as for advice, I mean that's pretty much all I have for the free mode like challenges and events. On to 2 times money in RP on Motor Wars. This is an adversary mode here on 2 times money RP, and yeah, typically those definitely won't get over like a couple hundred, like $1,000 at most. But between this and like the free mode events and challenges, the only like couple things that are even on like a money opportunity, I do have to say this is probably the better one to do, just simply because you can do it whenever you want, whereas if like the free mode events and like challenges, you either have to like lobby hop and hope for like a free mode event challenge, or you gotta wait like a ton of time, especially if like a business battle happens in between and whatnot. So because of all that, I do feel Motor Wars will actually be the best money opportunity. But yeah, for the adversary modes, it's basically like a battle royale kind of mode where you like fly out to like the cargo bob, land somewhere, again like a vehicle and all that kind of stuff. But battle royale is, in my opinion, definitely some of the most like oversaturated like modes in gaming typically. So that's kind of why I didn't play it, and then also like my inviting's fucking broken apparently. So unfortunately, I couldn't really play it unless I were to join like someone else's or something. And most people don't typically do like the maximum rounds and stuff, but yeah. Like I said, people do like the maximum rounds, which I think for that mode I saw was actually like 3 rounds. I imagine you could probably make a good couple 100,000 maybe at most, assuming you win and all that. On to the prize ride this time around, it is the Bravado Verlier, and it is in the sport class. And yeah, the challenge this time around, it is top 3 in the street race series. So literally you can just do like a race with like a friend or something like that, or just like have a bare minimal like 2 to like 3 player like street racing. You're pretty much guaranteed a spot. And then you just gotta do it 3 days in a row. That's the only challenging part, is the 3 days in a row. But yeah, I had a look on like Bruffy1322 spreadsheet, which will be linked in the like description below, and it doesn't really place anywhere in like the top 10 anymore, so I'd really say it's not really all that worth picking this one up, to be completely honest. On to the test rides this time around, there is the Pegassi Toros, the Declasse Mamba, and then the P-Fister 811. And yeah, the Pegassi Toros in particular is on a 30% off discount, so I figured I would mention that right away, since it's not really mentioned later on in the What's New section. So Taurus is actually on discount, and quite frankly, I do feel it's kind of the most worthy of the 3 if you were to want to pick them up. And yeah, it's the only one of them on discount. But yeah, it's still like the #1 SUV in terms of a lap time situation. However, though, with the Aston Custom HSW, it's not like #2 top speed, because top speed's a very huge thing with HSW vehicles, but obviously it can still be pretty competitive with it. And yeah, the Declasse Mamba, the only real noteworthy things that I can think of it is that it's a very retro vehicle from like the very first Grand Theft Auto game. So if you like to collect a lot of very nostalgic like Grand Theft Auto like series like vehicles, then the Mamba's a pretty old school vehicle in this series. And then it did also get like added like livery support and like the after hours DLC, so that was pretty fun. And then the P-Fister 811, at least on 9th generation, it is in a bit of a decline now, because again, HSW, like, supercars, is free of those, and those all have better top speeds now. and then also actually have decent-ish like lap time, whereas like the 811's lap time I don't recall being all that great. But on the 8th generation version of the game, the PS3 811's practically still the #1 like top speed. So it might be your like best like highway supercar you can use for like a more traditional supercar at least, in particular for 8th generation. Onto the podium vehicle this time around, it is the Ocelot Ardent. And yeah, the Ocelot Ardent, that is actually like a sport classic vehicle that has like machine guns on the front like bumper and everything. So obviously that means it has uses outside of racing, so being one of the like 5 to like 10% of like actual like usable vehicles outside of a racing situation, that alone makes it pretty worth it in my opinion. Obviously can be pretty okay for things like Headhunter and other similar like VIP like works and stuff like that, a bunch of like small stuff like that. But will you probably be using it all that often? Probably not, so probably only like a huge one, I would say, for people big on collecting weaponized vehicles. Onto the discounts for this week, there did not appear to be any sort of property discount whatsoever. All of the discounts this time around will be purely related to vehicles. But yeah, 30% off of the Mammoth Thruster Jetpack. Very good vehicle. It's a very like offensive vehicle, I would say, because yeah, and weaponry is not really the greatest, but in terms of most missiles, if you go to like top speed of the jetpack, you actually cannot get blown up by most missiles unless it's like a pretty huge model of like missile from like the Akula Hunter, or, like B-11 Strike Force, and like I think Eternal Bog one if it managed to like lock on, and other possible examples as well. But most missiles it can actually not get blown up by on its top speed. And yeah, the Class 8 Scramjet, that's like the one like proper car that has like rocket boost and can jump boost at the same time. Plus it also has 30 of the best like tracking homing missiles in the entire game. So a very good player versus enemy vehicle in certain circumstances. Though I still prefer like the Deluxo and stuff over the Scramjet, I would say personally. Being Persuade Tank, 40% off. I'm not really that huge on that one, even though it's a weaponized vehicle. Can't really do much of anything with it unless you manage to like glitch the like interaction menu. Be able to like use the interaction menu when you use Invade and Persuade Tank. There might be a way to still do that, but not sure if it could have been patched. The ability to use like the interaction menu with the Invade and Persuade like tank. But yeah, if not, then it's pretty much limited to like a player versus player vehicle, I would say, for the Invade Persuaded Tank. It's not a very useful one, to say the least. Babbitt's Slam Truck, that one's like a #2, like, top speed and lap time. It's actually the second best, like, utility vehicle behind, like, the Saddler for, like, racing purposes and whatnot. And yeah, it does have access to hydraulics, which I think are already on there at stock, which just raises the vehicle up. And yeah, contrary to the appearance, you cannot like stick vehicles like on the like truck bed or whatever. Like yeah, obviously you can get vehicles on there. There's no way you can like hold like right or something to like make them be like stuck on it unless. But yeah, vehicles will just kind of fall off as you like start driving. There's no way to like lock them down onto like the truck bed is essentially what I'm saying. Manana Custom, that's obviously a Benny's like upgrade, and Benny vehicles obviously tend to have some of the most customization. So unless you are huge on Benny vehicles, I would definitely not recommend the Manana Custom. Only good reason to get it is because it's a Benny's vehicle. And then a couple more that were not on the What's New section, but I did screenshots for was the Cuban 800, the Chimera, and the Nagasaki Chimera, and then the Dinka Vindicator. But yeah, like the Western company, like Cuban 800 or whatever, it's a plane from like day one of the game, so you probably wouldn't think much of it. But it's the one like day one aircraft that actually has more than like a respray option. Most of the day one aircrafts in terms of like the hangar only have like a respray option. Some actually also have like livery options, but they already had their like liveries in before like the Smugglers like Run DLC that introduced the hangar. But yeah, the Cuban 800's the one, like, day one aircraft that can actually have bombs equipped to it, which is actually quite unique. makes it similar to like the Grand Theft Auto 5 like air like cargo missions that you would do for like Oscar, I think. So that's pretty unique, but there's exactly 20 like fully customizable aircrafts in the game now, I think, for the hangar as of like the Cayo Perico Heist DLC. So it's kind of on decline now, I would say, and not to mention with the hangar, you actually get one complimentary as well. So you're getting like the 40% off like the Pegasus version. And yeah, 30% off the Nagasaki Chimera. It's only really unique in terms of being like a freewheel like motorcycle. Aside for that, it's not really worth getting, I would say. And then the Dinka Vindicator. That's one you can actually buy on the story mode, because that was actually like one of the last like vehicles they actually decided to add into like the story mode of like the Olgotten Games like Part 2 DLC. However, though, something you cannot do with the Vindicator in story mode, I think, is the Curse boost, because I think the special ability in story mode, I think, override like the Curse ability, like boost, whatever. It's one or two like motorcycles in addition to the Electro that has like the Curse boost. But yeah, the Electro from like the heist update is the better of the two Curse boosting vehicles, as far as I understand, in a way. Because in terms of like a lap time situation, yeah, Curse boost is like a boost where it takes like your braking power, it turns it into like a boost. But yeah, it's one of two vehicles that has that, which is quite unique actually. Finally, last but not least, onto the time trials and then the premium race. Regular time trial was Route 68, and I had a very little, like, small section of it already. But yeah, basically for that one, you just want to go like the GPS route. It's not really much of like a shortcut, and that really seemed all that worth taking. And yeah, for regular time trials, I typically recommend like motorcycles and stuff, so I would have a look in like the spreadsheet, or obviously if you're on the 9th generation, I would say HSW Hotshot Drag for sure. RC Bandito time trial, which is on screen right now, is El Fuente Blanca. And I'll have as much of it in here as I need until I'm finished here. HSW time trial, I already mentioned a little bit with that one, the East Bonwood one. Looped back to the very first one, as I mentioned earlier. And last but not least, the premium race this time around is Muscle In, and that is for the muscle car class. And again, it could be possibly good to use the Arbiter GT if you are on the 9th generation systems, or if not, then have a little look at like the spreadsheet again, as linked in the like description. But yeah, that will finally be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed.